Hey everyone, welcome back to the Maverick channel. Now today we want to talk about a couple of topics. I was meant to talk about three topics, which was Ethereum, Certik, which is something interesting to look into, and then I was going to talk about the Fetch.ai wallet. You can now have the wallet extension on your browser, but I'm going to save that for another video. So today I'm going to focus on the Ethereum London Hard-fork, just sort of skimming through it really fast, just to bring you up to date in case you haven't paid attention. And also, briefly, I'm not going to read any articles, but briefly talk about the current law that's happening in the United States. There's a bill that wants to be passed. Let me start with that and just get it out of the way. So, there's a couple of senators, a bunch of politicians seated, and they're proposing that there should be a tax sort of bill imposed on the cryptocurrency community, and obviously this is all convoluted within very unclear language. I think they're trying to exclude the validators, they're excluding the miners, and they're excluding the manufacturers of hardware and software wallets, but everyone else. If you're in the US, I'm not in the US, luckily. I mean, I would love, of course, USA. I'm just kidding, guys. So anyway, of course, all of us have a certain level of attachment to the US because it's that one country where you can go, become a citizen, do things, create, have your own rocket company. The sky is the limit. Anyway, so in the US, if you do any kind of transaction with your cryptocurrencies, there is the capital gains tax that you have to look for. Any sort of transaction moving from one cryptocurrency to another, making a purchase where you've moved your cryptocurrency, you have to keep track of all that. And if you've been in the crypto space like some of us, you've made thousands and thousands of transactions. It's impossible to keep track of those things unless you have nothing else you're doing in your life. You have to, unless you're going to spare every weekend of your life just trying to figure out the nuances involved with the price volatility of the cryptocurrency space, coupling that with all the sudden transactions you make because you want to move from this cryptocurrency to another because of the volatility, all the instant sort of impulsive decisions you make when you're dealing with this space, it would be really hard to try to channel that within a sort of tax system. So what that will do, it will make things really complicated for institutions, for individuals, and for small time players that will be like, you know what, that's too hot, I don't want to touch that, and they just let the whole space go. So that might sort of affect the innovative side of things. Of course, we know the regulators want to look into this space and see a way to regulate them under the guise of, anti-money laundering and I know your customer type of thing, especially anti-money laundering. But we know, I don't want to go political with that, but if you've been looking at the financial structure, of course, we know, different banking institutions, there are not exactly the cleanest banking institutions, and also not to mention that they can easily be hacked. So these laws really need to, I think some of the senators and policymakers need to sit down with the technical people that understand the space, people that are quite neutral, people that are not maybe maximalist about a particular technology or extremist in a certain way, but sort of have a reasonable dialogue and discord and dialectic to try and see the way forward with cryptocurrency, especially with an economy that's as big as the United States. So guys, let's go straight into the Ethereum upgrade. So on the 5th, we saw this exciting upgrade on the of the Ethereum network, which is the long-awaited Ethereum London Hard-fork. Now, this upgrade does not move the Ethereum network to proof of stake. It does not necessarily move it closer to proof of stake, but there are some implementations, there are other proposals that have been implemented within this London hard fork that could help the Ethereum network move a couple of steps closer to the Ethereum 2.0. So if we can look briefly at this article and what it's saying. So the latest backward incompatible hard fork also marked the rollout of 5 new Ethereum improvement proposals. These the Ethereum improvement proposal, let's just refer to that as EIP, or EIPs for plural. So the EIP 1559, that's the most popular of them. There's the 3554, 3529, 3198 and the 3541. So they are code upgrades that aim to improve the Ethereum network's user experience, value proposition, and more. So as stated there plainly, improve the user experience of people on the users of the Ethereum network. But all these sort of upgrades tie into, they affect the miner fees, they affect what we call the base fee, there's the priority fee on a transaction. So if your user, to summarize the EIP 1559, we can just read about it here a bit. So in the words of Okay, this is an article of CoinDesk. So CoinDesk Kristen Kim, EIP 1559 replaces Ethereum's auction-style fee market with an algorithm that automatically sets the gas price. According to a report from Kim, there are 4 significant purposes for the proposal, including counterbalancing Ether's increasing supply, preventing economic obstruction of Ether, and whatever, reducing fee volatility and increasing fee market market efficiency. So there is something in here that you note. There are 4 significant proposals, including counterbalancing. So counterbalancing Ether's increasing supply. I like how Kim stated this, because when you look at the GitHub page and how the Ethereum Foundation really explained this, it's not necessarily going to cause a deflationary nature within Ethereum. That depends on the base fee. It depends on the number of transactions within a particular block. And as all those factors as all those factors change, the amount of the base fee that is burned, because let's first backtrack. So on every transaction, there's a priority fee that you're supposed to pay when you're sending an Ethereum transaction from one wallet to another, or you're interacting with a smart contract. You have to pay a fee on the transaction. Then the base fee that you're supposed to pay on that transaction. That's sort of a constant fee. Now, these fees are variable. Now, as that base fee changes, mainly the rate at which the idea of implementing this proposal is to get rid of that base fee. And what burning means is that the fees, instead of going to the miners as it was before, the miners are supposed to get a reward of the fees, and they also get a reward of a certain number of Ethereum that's emitted from every block after it has been executed. So now that the proposal is meant to eliminate that base fee or burn it. And what burning means is sending that fee, instead of sending it to the miners, but rather sending it to a wallet address to which no one owns the private keys. So that is the sort of, in a nutshell, summarization of what the EIP 1559 does. So EIP 1559 will also introduce greater block size variance, meaning block sizes can fluctuate up to 2 times the current maximum limit during times of high network congestion when it comes to the amount of transaction data able to fit in a particular block. So as all those dynamics change, as all that happens, the rate of burn fluctuates, or it keeps changing. This flexibility is intended to improve free market efficiency and help alleviate some of the pain points caused by Ethereum's limited transaction throughput, or how fast the network can process transactions. So it's going to help in user experience, in the sense that you're going to be able to you're supposed to be able to determine the maximum amount of fees you're supposed to pay. And when you send out a transaction, this time the way it's supposed to be is that there's supposed to be a base fee and a maximum transaction. There's an equation there that compares the base fee, the priority transaction, and the maximum transaction. And if I think the intended transaction is beyond the maximum transaction, then the user actually gets back a change from what they paid, which is quite important. So 3559 is the other implementation. Okay, let's read the last part. Perhaps the most widely debated change the EIP 1559 implements is one that affects the miner rewards. With the upgrade, miners will receive reduced transaction fees and become more reliant on block rewards, transaction tips, and potentially maximal extractable value for rewards. Finally, long-term investors will see an update to Ether's emission schedule and enforcement of Ether's use cases to form a payment for block space. So a quick look at the other proposals. We have the EIP 3554, which delays the difficulty bomb, that is coded to make mining more difficult. So essentially freezing it in preparation for Ethereum's transition away from proof of work model, also called the Ice Age. So the difficult bomb is intended to disincentivize miners from using proof of work once Ethereum 2.0, which is meant to be proof of stake, is ready, by making block rewards much harder to come by. EIP 3354 pushes the Ice Age back to December 1st, hinting that the merge of Ethereum 2.0 may happen at the end of the year. This is the 4th time that the difficulty bomb has been delayed, and unless the network is finally ready to move the proof of stake by the end of the year, is likely to be delayed once again in yet another network upgrade. Then the other proposal, Ethereum 3529, reduces gas refunds, which were typically used to incentivize developers to reduce or delete unused smart contracts and addresses on Ethereum. However, gas tokens like Chai, I hope that's how it's pronounced, and GS2T2 gamed the system by taking up space on the network when gas fees were low and reaping the benefits by deleting their data when gas fees were high. So with the implementation of EIP 3529, these tokens will become obsolete. EIP 3198 allows miners to return the base fee opcode, which is also the opcode, which makes it easier for developers to call and use any given block's base fee for decentralized application estimations and efficiency. So we see some utility for the block's base fee, which is the fee that's meant to be burned within the first proposal, which is the EIP 3554. 3541 sets up the future upgrades to the Ethereum virtual machine by removing the ability to start new contracts with the OXEF or executable format. Although it won't have an immediate effect on the network, it sets up future changes and restricts the Ethereum virtual machine from consuming specific data types. So of course they tell us about things to watch out for in this article, that there could be a potential chain split. I haven't heard much about this, but I guess it could potentially happen. At the end here, they're talking about while testing the London Hard-fork on the Ropsten testnet, which is the testnet version, the different testnets on the Ethereum mainnet. A miner using the most popular Ethereum software, which is Geth, which is I think Go Ethereum, approved a faulty transaction that led to a temporary chain split. Ethereum developers and clients have worked together to ensure that a bug like that is not likely to occur on the main network to track the status of Ethereum blockchain and identify chain splits in real time. Stakeholders can use node monitoring websites such as Forkmon. So the maximum extractable value and front running. So burning the base transaction fee takes away revenue that once belonged to miners. So in order to gain back the revenue lost, miners will have to rely on increased ether prices or extract greater value through maximum extractable value or maximum extractable value. So you notice they've talked about something called front running here. I won't go too much. I won't go into detail into that, but front running is essentially if you have a transaction out there and the miner keeps updating, they keep accepting transactions into a block and leaving out others because these other transactions have a higher fee. So it's something to do with the fees, something to do with the transaction, playing around that dynamic so that you get the maximal extractable value from the fees in the network as a miner from each particular block. Then lastly, free market performance. Finally, it will also be important to watch how effective the new Ethereum fee market is in bringing predictability to transaction fee estimations and how much total ether supply is burned through the base fees. So this can be tracked through someone. So you can go to, for example, this website, Watch the Burn. Here, for example, I opened it and you can see that the London Hard-fork was just activated on the 5th of August, but already 7,772.35 Ethereum has already been burned. And I'm sure if you convert that to dollars, it's a couple of $1 million. So that's quite significant and quite bullish for those that are holding the Ethereum token. There is this sort of deflationary tendency on the Ethereum token due to this fee burn. At least it's an addition towards moving towards that deflationary tendency. However, there's constantly new Ethereum being issued out as long as we have the proof of work model. So it's not necessarily that Ethereum will automatically be a deflationary currency because obviously there's new Ethereum being issued out in every new block. So that is it about the Ethereum London Hard-fork. If you want more detail about it, there's plenty of content online about it. There's plenty of awesome articles and there's plenty of other awesome videos that have been made around that topic that will give you better insight on what it's all about, especially if you're an Ethereum holder. The last thing I want to talk about is, well, I wanted to talk about the regulation, but I already did that at the start, which is out of the blue, the White House came in to support crypto tax proposal changes that are not friendly to the crypto world. Senator Cynthia Lummis calls crypto community, we need you. And there was a tweet from her, calling out, I think it's stated in somewhere in this article, we need you. Please call your senators, please tweet, please email. We're facing major headwinds on the Wyden-Lummis to me amendment, burying financial innovation in red tape and sending developers, miners on info collection, wild goose chases for info they don't know is horrible policy. So there's a lot of unclear regulation, a lot of, I think, policymakers that are not quite clear about what is going on, and the concerned parties, especially in the US being fronted as a very innovative country, it's some say it's lagging behind, though that's not to say we have to acknowledge the fact that most of the biggest blockchain companies still come from the US. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about is Certik network. anarcho-capitalism when it comes to the cryptocurrency space, I think, because when you look at smart contracts that really started with Ethereum, there's been a lot of vulnerabilities in these smart contracts. A lot of money has been lost in DeFi. A lot of money has been lost in hacks, in different, because it's a very new space. So in all kinds of ways, people have lost money due to hacks, due to faulty code, due to faulty smart contracts, due to faulty systems. You're trying to interact with the network, and of no fault of your own, you end up in a situation where you lose your funds. So now, the reason why I mentioned anarcho-capitalism is because we have a free market economy, a decentralized system that's underway when it comes to the internet and the distributed ledger technologies. So how do you ensure security in a decentralized way? Security in the sense of smart contracts, not in the sense of the blockchains themselves. So people want to interact to access DeFi and all other features. They want to sell their NFTs. They want to store all kinds of assets that are from different blockchains. And by doing this, they're interacting, they're using smart contracts. So companies like Certik, there are other companies out there that certify smart contracts, that audit smart contracts to make sure they're viable and safe to use. And with experience, these companies keep learning more the different dynamics, and they keep an eye out on the cryptocurrency space to see what is going on, where the vulnerabilities are. So some of these companies that evaluate smart contracts have a high level of predictability when it comes to crypto space, because they look into the details. They look into the low level coding, they look at the high level coding, and they look at different things like Oracle networks, how to chain interoperability when it comes to security. So think of everything you've heard of when it comes to DeFi, things that have evolved in the crypto space when it comes to smart contracts, oracles, security, even AML, KYC, know your customer, anti-money laundering. Imagine decentralization, imagine all that being put within a security model or an audit model, sort of decentralized way. So that's what Certik is trying to do with their features. So they're mainly based on the Binance Smart Chain, but they also do audits for the Ethereum network, and I've also seen that they've partnered with the Polygon network. So Certik is one of the biggest platforms out there with an auditing model. Their premise is to be one of the biggest, or if not the biggest, auditing farms out there. And you can see also there's also big companies like PricewaterhouseCooper that's really trying to get deep into the cryptocurrency space, which makes sense. They're one of the biggest auditing farms out there, so they need to understand this technology. So Certik is very exciting to me because of the type of product suites they have. You can see some here, they keep track of some of the projects here, onboarding projects. These are other projects that they talk about. So they have this sort of, you can look at all these projects and see and read their audit as per Certik. PancakeSwap, Aave, 1inch, Binance, Cover, Terra. These are some of the biggest names. OMG, Dodo, DAO Maker, Polygon Network, Bancor, Fetch.ai, Ocean Protocol, Stellar Network, SafeMoon as well, Swipe, Ampleforth. These are some of the biggest names in the cryptocurrency community, and they're relying on Certik. So guys, this is a very, very exciting product in what they want to do. And when you come to this page, which is certik.org/technology, this is where you need to come. That's it. Just come to this page and read through their Certik Shield, which is a decentralized reimbursement mutual system for digital assets. So when you read through this, they're creating this model because when you're interacting with DeFi, there's chances of losing your fees through different things like flash loan attacks. There's impermanent loss, but impermanent loss, that's more of a technical thing. These other ways may be a faulty smart contract that you're dealing with. So you can issue out a proposal on their chain, and it's voted on in a decentralized manner. So other people that have the CTK tokens, which are the native tokens of the Certik network or the Certik ecosystem, so these people can vote on your proposal and decide whether to accept it or not, and this happens all in a decentralized way. At least that's the intention. So the ability to recover your funds, if the way you've lost them is not of your own volition, it's not of your own fault, then they are devising a decentralized way within which you can recover your funds, which is really exciting. And that's in a nutshell what their Certik Shield is about. But there's a lot more details. Then there's the Certik chain, which is they have their own native chain, which And you know the importance of a native chain, because if you have a native chain, you have your own native tokens, you can program them to do specific things. In other words, you have the freedom to have programmability. It's because blockchain is not just money. Blockchain is something else. Cryptocurrencies are not just money, but they're programmable money, they're programmable real estate, they're programmable all kinds of things. When it goes all the way into NFTs, it goes into different tokenomics. It goes into, there's so many ways you can there's so many use cases that we haven't yet explored. Some tokens can be used for gas fees, for different incentive models. So having your own chain is important because you have that flexibility to enact certain things that you need, maybe cross-chain interoperability. We can, when you read deeper into these documents, you can actually design smart contracts on here that have the capability to interact, to select smart contracts that are valid, that have been certified, that have good and safe working code. You can decide that your smart contracts interact with those contracts. They know how to detect. They can also decipher and look at different smart contracts and know the ones that have not been certified, and also choose to interact with those or not. So there's that flexibility, which is, I think, it's one of those novel innovations that we haven't yet really looked at. Then they talk about their Deep C, which is their programming language to write, which can support or sustain complex mathematical code that you can embed within there. So that's their programming language. There's a security oracle. So their smart contracts, or the way they keep security, they leverage Oracle, an Oracle system which allows availability of accurate data between different smart contracts, and also between different security models that they're using. So you're able to keep track of the security models. So this is another use case of Oracle. So Oracles is not just for bringing price feeds, but also for bringing all kinds of external data. That external data could be coming from outside of the blockchain ecosystem in the physical world into the blockchain ecosystem, but it could also be happening within external structures within blockchain or within finance. So it could be one smart contract and what it implements in terms of security, and sharing that data with another smart contract, and that's how you're able to know which smart contract to interact with, depending on what security models you're looking for. If you're especially a company that's providing DeFi solutions to high net worth clients, that if you have people putting billions of dollars in your DeFi product, and you're maybe a public company that's being watched, you want to make sure you provide the safest, unhackable solutions to this money, to your client's money. So to get a little bit, and then they have Skynet, which is a multi-dimensional tech suite on security monitoring and analysis. So this ties into their whole models, essentially combining all these things. We can read here, Skynet is a unified set of security tool chains that leverages automated technologies to check deployed smart contracts against a wide range of known vulnerabilities at scale. It produces accurate smart contract security scores, which indicate the risk potential for hacks and code malfunctions. They also have something called a deep wallet, which you can use to check more on what's happening with your smart contracts and what you've deployed. We can actually see it at the end here. I think they talk about it here. Users can easily view their token balance, redeem delegated rewards, and send and receive tokens to other users from their deep wallet, which is accessible through a web browser. Unlike traditional wallets, the deep wallet has additional enhanced features to allow users to delegate stakes as well as deploy smart contracts. So these guys, they're not just a team seated out there, because there's going to be hundreds of thousands of cryptocurrencies out there. So it could be really hard to audit every single thing or everything. You may not have the tools. So they're embedding some sort of decentralization. They have their own native chain, which has a certain level of openness. So under the oracles, there's something important they state here, which is quite interesting. So the security oracle relays these assessments and combines them to create a real-time on-chain aggregate score that can be used by anybody seeking to validate the security of the contract. So they're trying to really move towards decentralization, move towards openness, and achieve and make sure the software is such that it's accessible to anyone that wants to use it, and not limited to just a few clients or the team that built it. And there's also use cases for their CTK token, like staking it to have access to smart contracts to have access to Oracle systems, to be able to vote on the network and security. And of course, they partnered with the Polygon network, which is very exciting. But we also saw all the other blockchains, all the other systems that they've written audits for, which is very exciting, which increases their validity, which increases their reputation within the space. And you can also understand more about this Polygon network integration and how they're using it. This is exciting because Polygon network, you can read here, is the first well-structured, easy-to-use platform for Ethereum scaling and infrastructure development. For all those that have watched this video, you know, I'm truly respectful of the Polygon network in terms of having this type of foresight they had as regards scaling of the Ethereum network. And you can see their reputation precedes them. You can see they look at different technologies as a layer 2 scaling solution. They're not just limited to one thing. They mostly capitalize on Plasma, but they also have in their sites optimistic rollups, ZK rollups, Validium, and you can actually see this on their website. So the standalone chains like Polygon Proof of Stake, designed for flexibility and independence, Polygon's scaling solutions have seen widespread adoption with 450 decentralized applications, 350 million transactions, and 13.5 million different users. So that's extremely big. And the fact that all these organizations are working together, if I should call them organizations, well, they are. It's very interesting. It just increases the validity in this whole space. So guys, just like yesterday, I reviewed Alchemy, which is a project that's trying to take away the difficult stuff away from the developers so that they focus on development, in terms of they're trying to be like an arbiter for the nodes, running nodes on behalf of companies that don't want to take care of that and avoid those security risks. It's the same way we have this company Certik, which I call a company, and all the others within this field essentially a visualization of what anarcho-capitalism would be in this space, because there's different aspects you have to look at when you're evaluating which company you want to use when it comes to auditing. And of course, that depends on your own business model, your own jurisdiction, what kind of anti-money know your customer type of rules you're supposed to stay within, what bracket. So that's upon the company that's trying to look out for, or maybe you're just an investor, and if you see somewhere that's certified by Certik or audited by Certik or some other auditing firm, you can, you know, be rest assured that you're dealing with something that's a bit more secure than some other random thing, because the companies build a reputation. So availability of all those different companies, competition, increases their ability to be innovative, which further increases the trust you'd have in a particular smart contract or a DeFi application that is certified by one of these companies. So I'm very excited about what Certik is doing, and I'm very excited to see where they're going to be in the future. And most excitedly, they have a token, which is a CTK token. So not investment advice, but it's also a utility token. So if you want to participate deeper within the Certik network, you can have that token to vote on different proposals as well. So it's not just speculation. All right, guys, that's all I wanted to bring to you guys today. Just sort of helping further develop that intuitive sense of being able to see, of trying to see where the crypto space is going through the eyes of these other companies that are really deeply embedded within this technology and are working with the companies that are at the top of the crypto industry in terms of reputation, in terms of market capitalization, in terms of TPS transactions, in terms of users, in terms of volume, and all other metrics that we use to measure the hierarchy of the different companies. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something. I always do. And I hope to see you on the next one. Bye-bye, guys.